Namaste students. In the previous class, you have learned about reflex arc, reflex actions, as well as the simple reflexes, how it takes place in the spinal cord. So everything you have learned. In today's class, we are going to study about a little bit more things. Here, the nervous system, it requires the receptors. Through the receptors, the impulses is transferred with the help of the sensor neuron. From the receptor to it goes to the central nervous system. Now, what are these receptors? We can study. So, in our body, there are important receptors are there. That is eyes, ear, skin, tongue, nose, etc. So, we can study the two receptors, that is we call as a sense organs. For your chapter, eye and ear is there. So we are going to study about in today's class we are going to study about the structure of the eye. Sense organs. Sense organs enable us to be aware of the conditions of our external as well as internal environment. Sense organs are helps to getting the knowledge from the external as well as the internal environment. So here we can see the receptors. So receptors are nothing but it is a specialized tissue or cell sensitive to a specific stimulus. Receptor is a specialized tissue or cell sensitive to a specific stimulus. So here we can see the 5 types of the receptors. First one is mechanoreceptor. Mechanoreceptor, it is the receptor for touch pressure of skin. Mechanoreceptor, receptors for touch pressure of skin. Chemoreceptor. Chemoreceptors are taste of tongue, smell of the nose. Means with the help of the chemicals, it can identify our tongue can identify the taste of the food as well as the nose can identify the smell of the things. Photoreceptors. Photoreceptors nothing but they include the rods and cones of the retina of eye due to light. So it receives the light. So that is a photoreceptor. Thermoreceptor. Heat and cold receptor in the skin. Thermo. So it sensitive for the heat as well as the cold, especially in the skin region we can see. Phonoreceptor. Receptor for sound, to hear the different types of the sound. So that is the ear. That is called as phonoreceptor. So different sense organs, it stimulus for the different, it gives the response for the different stimulus. Now we can study the eye. Now first we can study accessory structure of the eye. First one, orbits. The two eyes are located in deep sockets or orbits on the front side of the head. So in the front side of the head, especially in the skull region, you can see in the front side there is two hollow-like structures we can see in the skull. That hollow-like structures are called sockets or orbits. In that sockets or orbits, eyes are located. Each eye is in the form of a ball and can be rotated with the help of the 6 muscles. So we can rotate our eyeball with the help of the 6 muscles. Next, eyelids. The upper and the lower movable eyelids protect the front surface of the eyes and can shut out light. So eyelids, it is the 2 eyelids are there, upper and lower. Here upper eyelids is the movable one. So these eyelids, it gives the protection for our eyes from the light. As well as each eyelid carries outwardly curved eyelashes. It has a hair-like structure, curved hair-like structure that is called as eyelashes. It prevents the falling of large particles into the eyes. See, these eyelids and eyelashes, its main function is give the protection for our eyes. Next, eyebrows. These are 2 arched and raised portions of the skin above the eyes. They prevent the raindrops or trickling perspiration from getting into the eyes. So eyebrows, it is a little bit upper part of the eyelids region. It has a thick hairy like structure and it prevents eyes from the raindrops, falling of raindrops into the eyes, as well as the falling of sweat into the eyes region. That is the eyebrows. Next, tears gland or lacrimal gland. They are located at the upper sideward portion of the orbit. They are located at the upward sideward portion of the orbit. 6 to 12 depth of the gland pour the secretion over the front surface. So, whatever the gland's main function is secretion. So, whatever the secretions are there, it will pour into the front surface and it has a duct. So, what are the main functions of these tears? The tears serve as a lubricant. It acts as a lubricant. Tears also help keep the front surface of the eye clean. It helps to keep the front part of the eyes in a clean manner. They also have an antiseptic property due to the presence of enzyme lysozyme. It has in the tears, it has one of the enzyme that is called lysozyme. It has an antiseptic property. It helps to kill the germs, especially the bacteria or other germs. When it enters the eye region, see this lysozyme, it kills that germ particle. Next, tears also help to communicate emotions. Yes, we can communicate emotions with the help of the tears also. It also moistens the eyeball. It keeps the eyeball in a moist conditions. So these are the main functions of these tears. Sometime if you put a drop or medicine in the eye region, you can feel it in the nose region or in the throat region. You can feel it in the throat region. That medicine, what you put on your eye region, you can feel that medicine in the nose as well as in the throat region. So this is because presence of nasolacrimal duct. So whatever the secretion or whatever the drops are there or whatever the secretion is there in the eye, it also transferred to the nose as well as the throat region. So with the help of the nasolacrimal duct. So in the diagram you can observe lacrimal sac, it connected to the nasolacrimal duct. So this lacrimal duct in the connect, it form lacrimal sac, then it form connect to the nasolacrimal duct. So this is the tears gland. Next, conjunctiva. It is a thin membrane covering the entire front part of the eye. It is a thin membrane. It covers the entire front part of the eye. It is continuous with the inner lining of the eyelids. This conjunctiva continues with the inner lining of the eyelids. Over the cornea, it is reduced to a single layer of transparent epithelium. So in the cornea region, it has it's reduced in condition because it contains only a single layer of transparent epithelium. Due to viral infection, this layer turns red called conjunctivitis. Because of viral infection, this conjunctiva layer, it turns into red color. That condition is called conjunctivitis. Next, structure of the eyeball. Eyeball is composed of 3 layers: the outer sclerotic layer, the middle choroid, and the inner retina. First layer, that is sclerotic layer, or it is called sclera. It is made up of tough fibrous tissue and is white in color. So through the conjunctiva we can clearly observe this sclerotic layer. So what white color is there? So that layer is called sclerotic layer or sclera. It bulges out and becomes transparent in the front region where it covers the colored part of the eye. This part is called cornea. So in the front part it has a little bit bulging portion. So that bulging portion is called as a cornea. So which gives a color to the eye. So because it has iris, so then in the cornea region we can see the iris. So that part is called as a cornea. In the eye we can see that the black circle is there in the center. So that is called as cornea. Sometimes the cornea of some patient turns opaque or white and non-functional. In such cases, the defective cornea can be replaced by a healthy cornea from a donated eye. From the donated eye, they will take only the cornea part, not whole eye. They will take only the cornea part and they can fix that cornea into the patient eyes. So through that patient can see the things. So this is the donation of the eye. Donation of eye means, so they are removing the cornea part. Second layer, that is a choroid layer. It is richly supplied with the blood vessels, providing nourishment to the eyes. So in the choroid layer, we can see the blood vessels. Through the blood, the nourishment is passes to the eye region. It contains a dark black pigment called melanin, which prevents light rays from reflecting and scattering inside the eye. So this melanin pigment, it prevents the light rays from reflecting as well as the scattering. If the light rays reflect or scattered, the light rays will not join in a particular point and image will not form. So that's why this melanin pigment is very important. This melanin pigment, it prevents the light rays from reflecting and scattering inside the eye region. And in the choroid, we can see the different structure. First one is ciliary body. Along the margin of iris, choroid expands to form ring-like ciliary body. In the choroid layer, we can see the ciliary body. Ciliary body is nothing but it is the expand region of this choroid layer. So it has a ring-like structure that is called ciliary body. It is formed of smooth ciliary muscles having circular and radial fibers. Ciliary body having the circular as well as the radial fibers. The smooth muscles in the ciliary body alter the shape of the lens. These circular and radial fibers, they help for the changing the shape of the lens. So shape of the lens is depending upon the distance of the object. So because of distance of the object, the lens shape also will change. So that changing the lens shape, it is brought by the ciliary body because of presence of circular and radial muscle fibers. Next part in the choroid region, we can see the iris. It is an extension of choroid partially covering the lens and leaving a circular opening in the center called pupil. So iris also, it is the extension form of the choroid. It covers the lens region. It partially covers the lens, and between these two iris layer, middle, the gap is there. That gap is called as pupil. The circular gap we can see, that is called as a pupil. It has inner circular muscles to constrict and outer radial muscles to widen the pupil. Iris helps to change the shape of the pupil. It has two types of the muscles. One is circular and is the radial. The circular muscle help for the constrict the pupil and the radial muscle help for the widening the pupil. The size of the pupil is changes because of this iris. The light enters the eyeball through the pupil. Here the pupil is a small aperture. Through this aperture the light rays will enter, then it reaches to the lens region. The size of the pupil is regulated by the muscles of iris. So has to regulate the amount of light entering the eyeball. So when the size of the pupil is changed, the amount of light rays which enters the eye, it also changes. If the pupil is widened, the more amount of light rays will enter. If the pupil is constrict, less amount of light rays will enter the eyeball. In case of dim light, radial muscles contract and the circular muscles relaxed. In the case of dim light, radial muscles contract and the circular muscles relaxed. Hence, pupil becomes large and more light rays enters in the eye region. Hence, the pupil becomes large. So that is called a dilation of the pupil. The size of the pupil increases. That is dilation. So pupil becomes large and more amount of light rays enters the eye region. In case of bright light, circular muscles contract and the radial muscles relax, just opposite of the dim light. Circular muscles contract and radial muscles relax. Hence, the pupil becomes narrow and the less light rays enters the eye region. Means pupil constrict. Pupil reduced its size. When it is a bright light region, the less amount of light rays is enough to form the image. That's why the pupil allows only the less amount of light rays inside the eye region. So, pupil become narrower. Pupil size will become less. That is called constriction. Third important layer of the eye is retina. It is the innermost layer sensitive to light. It is the innermost sensitive layer. It contains two types of the sense cells called rods and cones. In the retina, we can see the two types of sense cells. So it is called a sensitive layer. That sense cells are rods and cones. First, we can study about the rod cells. The rod cells are sensitive to dim light but do not respond to color. The rod cell, it is a rod-like structure, so it is a rod cells. So these rod cells are sensitive only for the dim light. They are not responding for the color vision. They are not responding for the color. They contain the pigment rhodopsin, or it is called visual purple. Rod cell contains the pigment that is called rhodopsin or visual purple. See the spelling RHODOPSIN, not RHODOSPIN, not spin, rhodopsin. So most of the student will write the wrong spelling. They will write SPIN, not SPIN, PSIN, rhodopsin, or it is called visual purple. The rod cells are distributed almost through the retina region. In all the region of retina, we can see the rod cells. And there is no different types of the rod cells. One more sense cells, that is a cone cells. They are sensitive to bright light. Cone cells are sensitive to bright light. They are cone in shape. They are responsible for color vision. So here we can identify the colors, especially blue, red as well as the green, because three types of cone cells we can see. That is some are sensitive for the red, some are blue, some are green. So through our eyes we can identify the red, blue and green color. So they are responsible for color vision. They contain the pigment iodopsin. It is called as visual violet. The cone cells contains the pigment called iodopsin, or it is called visual violet. The cone cells are mostly conform to the yellow spot, or it is called fovea centralis, or it is called as macula lutea. Cone cells are more in number in the yellow spot. Yellow spot, it is one of the region of the retina. In the yellow spot region, cone cells are more in number. Next, you can study comparison of rods and cones, or differences between the rods and cones. Here, rods more numerous in number, cones less numerous in number. Rods mostly at the periphery of retina region, cones are located in the center of the retina region, and very sensitive to low levels of illumination. Cones only stimulated by bright light. And in the rods, one type of rod cells are present. In the cones, three types of cone cells are present. And in the rods, rapid regeneration of light sensitive pigment, that is a rhodopsin. In the cones, slow regeneration of light sensitive pigment, that is a iodopsin. So these are the major differences between the rods and cones. Next, yellow spot. It is called the area of best vision. Yellow spot, or it is called area of best vision. It is also called fovea centralis or macula lutea. Yellow spot is also called fovea centralis or macula lutea. It lies at the back of the eye, almost at the center of the horizontal axis of the eyeball. At the center of the horizontal axis of the eyeball, we can see the yellow spot. While drawing the diagram also, be careful. Yellow spot you have to mark horizontal axis of the eyeball only. It is located at the center on the horizontal axis of the eyeball. The cones are concentrated in the center and the rods on the periphery. In the yellow spot region, the cone cells are present in the center of the yellow spot, and the periphery of the yellow spot region we can see the rod cells. Because of the highest concentration of cones in humans, it is the region of highest visual activity and color vision. Why the yellow spot is called area of best vision or color vision? Because more number of cone cells are concentrated in the yellow spot region. Next, the image formed in this region is the brightest and the sharpest. So usually image will form in the yellow spot region. So whatever the image will form, that images are bright as well as the sharp image will form in the yellow spot region. Next, blind spot. It is called the area of no vision. Lateral to the yellow spot is the blind spot. Just lateral side of the yellow spot, or just behind region of this yellow spot, we can see the blind spot. There is no sensory cells, so this is the point of no vision. There is no cones and rods in the blind spot. That's why it is called as area of no vision. This is the point at which the nerve fibers from all the sensory cells of the retina converge and bundle together to leave the eyeball in the form of optic nerve. Here, so whatever the nerve fibers are there in the sensory cells, they will come and meet in the blind spot region. All the sensory cells, all the nerve fibers from the sensory cells, when they meet in the blind spot region, it form a bundle that is called as optic nerve. This optic nerve, it will leave from the blind spot region and it goes to the brain. From the blind spot region, optic nerve emerges and goes to the brain region. So its main function is all the nerve fibers of the sensory cells joined in the blind spot region to form optic nerve, and then it leaves from the blind spot region, then it goes to the brain. Next part, lens. Lens is a biconvex crystalline body. It is a biconvex, both the side convex in shape, so it is a crystalline body. It is located just behind the pupil region. Just behind the pupil region we can see the lens. It contains transparent lens fibers. Lens contains transparent lens fibers. The lens is collectively held in position by fibers called the suspensory ligament, which are attached to the ciliary body. Here the lens is first connected to the suspensory ligament, then it is attached to the ciliary body. So this ciliary body helps to change the shape of the lens. Ciliary body change the shape of the lens. Yes, I already said the ciliary body helps to change the shape of the lens. So the lens is held by the fixed position with the help of the suspensory ligament. Next, chambers of the eye. In the eye, we can see the two different chambers. First one is aqueous chamber. It is the front chamber between the lens and the cornea. Between the lens and cornea, the chamber is called aqueous chamber. It is filled with a watery liquid called aqueous humor. Aqueous chamber is filled by a watery liquid. That liquid is called aqueous humor. It keeps the lens moist and protects it from physical shock. The main function of this fluid as well as the chamber is it keeps the lens in a moist condition as well as it protects the lens from the physical shock. It refracts light. The aqueous chamber, it refracts the light. One more chamber, that is a vitreous chamber. It is the largest cavity, or it is the largest chamber of the eyeball. It is located just behind the lens region. Just behind the lens region, one more chamber is there. It is the larger in size. It is called vitreous chamber. It is filled with a transparent jelly-like thick fluid called vitreous humor. The vitreous chamber, it is filled by a transparent jelly-like thick fluid. That fluid is called vitreous humor. It helps in keeping the shape of the eyeball. It helps to maintain the shape of the eyeball, and it protects the retina and its nerve ending. Another main function of this chamber is it protects the retina region as well as its nerve endings. Now you can see the structure of the eye, that is the vertical section. Here you can see the two chambers, aqueous chamber as well as the vitreous chamber, and conjunctiva as well as the sclerotic layer, choroid layer and retina. And yellow spot, it is a horizontal axis of the eyeball in the center region, and blind spot just behind this region. Here optic nerve is emerges from the blind spot region, and we can see the lens, it is held by a suspensor ligament. This suspensor ligament then is connected to the ciliary body. It contains ciliary muscles. Ciliary bodies are nothing but the extension form of the choroid layer. And here you can see the iris also. Iris is the extension form of the choroid. It is partially covers the lens region. In between the iris we can see the fine gap just front of the lens region. The fine aperture is there, fine gap is there, that is called as a pupil. The pupil allows the entering of the light rays into the inner region, that is to the lens region. So this is the structure of the eye. Sometimes in examination they will ask to draw the diagram of the vertical section of eye and labeling the parts also. In today's class we have studied important parts of the eye. So these all parts are very important, that is the lens, chambers of the eye as well as the layers of the eye, sclera, choroid and retina, and spot, yellow spot and blind spot. In exam they will asked to write the difference between the yellow spot and blind spot. So iris, choroid, so these all are very important.